Climate change is affecting people around the planet right now. Here in Southeast Ohio, we haven't experienced dramatic weather changes yet, but we're still contributing to the problem. News at Noon in-depth reporter Taylor Bruck is live at one place where students and faculty at OU are being part of the solution.
Combating climate change doesn't have to be difficult, expensive, or even overwhelming. That's the message that students and faculty at Ohio University are working to spread. Even planting things as small as a succulent is a step toward big change.
When most people think about combating climate change, they think about things like recycling and using natural resources. But what about planting trees?
Most energy is put into our tree program. Trees, again, create oxygen, they absorb stormwater, they create shade, they create habitat. Looking ahead, there are studies that rate trees, who is going to best be able to survive these changing climatic dynamics that are coming our way.
And the ground isn't the only place where plants are taking root. Look up. There are going to be plants up there soon, too.
Here on the roof of Schoonover Center at Ohio University, things are looking pretty empty. But by April, this entire area will be covered in vegetation.
I wouldn't have probably been able to do it on my own, but I was the instigator. I'm the organizer.
Dr. Kim Thompson, an Ohio University professor in environmental and plant biology, is making the green roof a reality.
It was my idea, and I talked to a couple of my colleagues about it. I remember being in Porter, which is where I'm located, and looking out at Grover, and there are 3 rooftops, one below the other. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if these were planted?
So she took matters into her own hands and received a $10,000 grant from PepsiCo to fund the construction and buy new research equipment, and another grant for more than $250,000 from the Academic Innovation Accelerator at OU. But why green roofs? Dr. Thompson says sustainable infrastructure has a lot of benefits, including cleaning stormwater runoff and reducing energy usage.
You can cool entire cities if you have green roofs on all of the rooftops. There's a lot of property in rooftops. If you look down on New York City, for example, 25% of the landscape is rooftops. So if we can plant all of those rooftops, that would make a big difference in keeping the city cooler.
And while Dr. Thompson admits her push for a green roof was motivated by all the research opportunities, the project fits in with Ohio University's lofty sustainability goals. OU's Climate Action Plan calls for the university to be carbon neutral by 2075.
Carbon neutrality would be the greenhouse gas emissions that the university is responsible for emitting into the atmosphere, that we would be at zero. Now, it doesn't mean that the university is not emitting any greenhouse gas emissions, but there are lots of ways to offset your greenhouse gas emissions.
And while that seems like a big task to accomplish in 55 years, some people like Sam Crowell, the Associate Director of Sustainability at Ohio University, want to see it completed faster. The Board of Trustees and President Nellis pre-approved a plan to move the target date for carbon neutrality up to 2050. The Office of Sustainability will present the revised Sustainability and Climate Action Plan later this year for final approval.
Sustainability is all about what we call those 3 Ps, people, planet, and prosperity. So when we see negative impacts to all 3 of those things, we need to do something in order to, not just for the environment, but for the people who live on the planet, and as well as the economies. It's going to cost so much money to fix these problems if we don't start fixing them now, that it's going to really hurt economies.
The current Climate Action Plan that was written in 2012 has 4 phases. They include ways to complete small goals that will lead up to a large goal of being carbon neutral. Things like reducing building energy, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and increasing renewable energy generation. Dr. Thompson thinks more projects like the green roof and alternative infrastructure in general need to happen in order to meet these benchmarks. But more importantly, need to serve as an educational resource to students.
If we can use these kinds of alternative infrastructure, that will help us to meet our goals, and that one of the goals of the university is to educate people. So if we can be educating people using these kinds of technologies and structures, that's going to help the university to see that it's valuable.
Another initiative that the Climate Action Plan and Dr. Thompson have in common is student engagement.
Basically what this demonstrates is how green roofs help stop flooding. So the rainfall is absorbed by the soil and the plants, which helps stop the inflow of water into the storm system and then into rivers, lakes, streams. The water will flow faster on a regular shingle style roof than on a green roof. For the green roof, you'll see that we get less water in a longer period of time, which is good for storm sewer systems being able to contain, and that helps stop flash flooding.
John Corchella and Johnny Murray are engineering students who worked on the Green Roof project with Dr. Thompson. They helped make these prototypes, essentially a mini model of the green roof to be used in schools. The models show a planted roof versus a non-planted roof, so middle and high school students in the area can do projects and collect data.
Providing those models was a really great opportunity to make use of this grant money and extend our reach, and also involve students in doing the outreach. So that's a really great way to engage, especially science students. Outreach is incredibly important.
And better yet, the idea for the prototypes grew in Corcella and Murray's dorm room about a year ago. But the first model was anything but high-tech.
We kind of had to figure out something that little kids could understand.
Yeah.
And so we tried to make a really basic model out of a fish tank. But the hardest part was breaking the fish tank open so that the water could flow out. And we were doing it in the Tiffin Common Lounge.
Yeah.
And people were walking in, and it looked like, I don't know what it looked like we were doing, but it was pretty funny.
And the only tool we had was a pair of scissors. And we had a pair of scissors. We didn't have a screwdriver, didn't have a knife,
glue.
Anything. So we cut up his Rubbermaid container that he had his
clothes.
That was,
and,
So we used a pair of scissors and a Rubbermaid container to make the first model, pretty much. And
I think you still owe me a laundry basket.
Yeah. I'll definitely pay you back for that one.
They are part of a student group called the Renaissance Engineers, who have been collaborating with Dr. Thompson on outreach and education.
The Renaissance Engineers is a student organization, and our mission is to create for good in our community by solving problems with our knowledge and skills.
Ethan Vuzianas is the organization's advisor and founder. He says sustainability and Dr. Thompson's project fit perfectly with their mission.
Sustainability is critical for the survival, I believe. I'm an engineer, so as I said, the resources are of high importance, but also how we treat the resources and how we treat the earth.
And while there is a huge collaborative effort between faculty, students, and the university, one planted green roof will not be enough to make OU carbon neutral. Another initiative is to make new buildings, like Clippinger Lab, as energy efficient as possible.
Our built environment is a huge contributor to energy efficiency, to our greenhouse gas emission. So if we build better buildings, then we will help to mitigate those problems.
Krause says there is a very specific way to make sure buildings are sustainable. It's all according to a rating system called LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
So you basically pay the contractor, the architect, to build according to the LEED standards. And so that will ensure that you're energy efficient, that you're saving water, that you're considering the land around you, that you're using native species that are drought resistant and don't need extra irrigation.
Krause says there are 13 buildings on campus that meet this certification, including the new residence halls on South Green and the Sook Academic Center by Peden Stadium. In order to become LEED certified, projects must earn points based on a rating system. Points are given for sustainability initiatives like building materials and indoor air quality. The more points, the higher the level of certification. But while these all deal with big, long-term projects, Krause says there are still small things that anyone can do to make a difference.
If everybody at the university is thinking about sustainability, simple things like printing on two sides of a piece of paper than just one, if we all make those small behavior changes, we can have a larger impact.
Now there is a 5-person limit out here on the green roof, but don't worry, you don't have to physically be here to experience it. The Game Research and Immersive Design, also known as the Grid Lab at Ohio University, is working to create a virtual reality program where students and faculty can interact with the roof as if they were on it themselves. Now that program is expected to be completed by the time that the roof is planted, and it will be continually updated as the vegetation grows in. Reporting live for News Watch at Noon in Depth, I'm Taylor Bruck.
Thanks, Taylor.